Hey guys, so when it comes to the famous bridge in Aberdeen, there are lots of videos of people underneath the bridge, but I haven't seen anyone go on top of the bridge and get that perspective. So with this video, I want to actually walk on the bridge to the other side and back. Interestingly, in order to get from Kurt Cobain's famous childhood home in Aberdeen over to Krist Novoselic's old house in Aberdeen, the quickest way would be to go over this bridge. Krist Novoselic's old house is up on a hill on the other side of this bridge. One thing I will say about Aberdeen is that yes, there are definitely some areas of the city that are in need of improvement, but there are also some nice areas of the city as well. I'm mentioning this because the narrative that's frequently told about Aberdeen, especially in the context of Nirvana, is that Aberdeen is this completely rundown place and there's nothing nice here. But in reality, there are actually some nice spots in the city. I was talking to a local here and she told me that, believe it or not, there are actually millionaires who live in Aberdeen. And in particular, they live in an area of the city called Bel Air, which is up in the hills. Now, of course, the swankier parts of Aberdeen certainly aren't an accurate reflection of how most of the city is, but for accuracy's sake, I do feel it should be mentioned that Aberdeen isn't totally run down. And thankfully, there are some efforts underway in order to improve the city and revitalize certain parts of it. The people I met in Aberdeen are really friendly, and so I hope things do improve for them here. Now, as mentioned, across the other side of this bridge, up on a hill, is where Krist Novoselic's old house in Aberdeen is located. When it comes to Aberdeen, Kurt's story is well documented, but Krist Novoselic's story is often overlooked. And so I want to read to you guys a segment from Jillian G. Gar's Nirvana biography, Entertain Us, where some of Krist Novoselic's history in Aberdeen is discussed, including how Krist ended up in the Melvins circle. It was through their mutual Melvins connection, of course, that Krist and Kurt first became friends. They both went to the same high school, but it was through the Melvins that they really connected. Before I read this, just a quick note, guys. Krist Novoselic was born in Compton, California in 1965, and his family moved to Aberdeen in 1979 due to rising real estate costs in California. There are a few sites online that say his family moved to Aberdeen in 1971, though most of the sources I've looked at say that his family moved in 79, including the Entertain Us biography. So, for the sake of this video, I'm going to state that Krist Novoselic's family moved to Aberdeen in 1979. If at some point in the future new information comes forth about this, that'd be great, but for now, the majority of the sources I've looked at state that the move was in 79, not 71. This, by the way, is one of the reasons I enjoy looking into the history of different bands, because even when it comes to a band as big as Nirvana, there are still some holes to fill in. All the research I do is on my own. I'm the one putting all these videos together, and so if you guys enjoy these videos and you want to support, in all honesty, the best way is to subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. Here's a brief look into Krist Novoselic's history in Aberdeen. Quote, Krist was born in Compton, California, and raised in Gardena, where the family grew to include another son, Robert, and a daughter, Diana. Krist had been obsessed with music since his childhood, listening to AM radio while watching his father work on the family Volkswagen. In 1979, the Novoselics moved to Aberdeen, where Krist felt decidedly out of place. I was now in a different social scene where the kids dressed different, he later explained. There weren't a lot of kids in school that I could relate to with music. Maybe I just had a little more sophisticated understanding of music, but I wasn't very happy and my parents noticed that. And they go, oh, let's send Krist to Croatia and see if that will work for him. Krist spent a year in his parents' homeland, encountering a very different educational system than what he'd been used to at home. School was very demanding, he recalled. You had to study a lot. It seemed like the standards were a lot higher in their public education. Along with studying more orthodox subjects like history and math, there were classes like civil defense that touched on the harsh realities outside the schoolroom walls. In Krist's words, there were a couple of times when the teacher brought this huge machine gun to class and showed us how to disassemble it and put it back together. With his shortwave radio, Krist was able to gain exposure to the punk and new wave music beamed to the continent by the BBC. When he returned to Aberdeen in 1980, he began making music himself. As a child, he'd taken accordion lessons and now his mother bought him a guitar. It just seemed like I listened to so much rock and roll, I just thought I'd take it up. So I started playing guitar. Krist still felt out of place among his classmates, but kept busy in other ways, taking vocational classes in addition to his high school coursework, as well as after-school jobs. He'd also been conscientiously taping each week's broadcast of Your Mother Won't Like It, the punk new wave show that aired on Seattle station KZOK. He finally found people who shared his musical interests when a co-worker at Aberdeen's Taco Bell introduced him to Buzz and Matt from the Melvins, bringing Krist into the Melvins circle. Buzz was also impressed with Krist's taste in music. I played Krist some music, and he was one of the few people who actually got it, Buzz said. With few places available to play locally, the Melvins started landing gigs out of town, first in Olympia, the state capital, an hour's drive east from Aberdeen. But when Mike from the Melvins began spending more time with his girlfriend than the band, Buzz decided he needed to be replaced, although he avoided firing his friend by asking Matt to tell Mike the band was breaking up. He then asked Krist if he knew any drummers, and Krist introduced him to Dale Crover, who had also jammed with Krist's brother Robert. Buzz had previously seen Dale playing in local cover bands. That's really all there was, Dale explained. If you wanted to be in a band, You played with people that wanted to do high school dances. To do these shows, it was covers of the day. Dale was excited to be asked to join the Melvins because he knew the band played the occasional out-of-town show. For his part, Buzz was excited about Dale's powerful drumming. He was more into heavy metal, he said. And then we introduced him to the punk rock thing. And 1,000 things really changed for us. We've got a top-notch, #1 great, amazing drummer. And that just pushed us through to what we ended up doing, which was music that's far more complicated, way more musical. Once Dale joined the band, Melvin's rehearsals moved to his parents' house in Aberdeen. Dale's older siblings had moved out, so there was plenty of room. His parents were finished raising kids and he got away with murder, said Buzz. He was able to do whatever he wanted. The neighbors there, as long as we got done by 7 p.m., they didn't care. We practiced all the time. Kurt Cobain and Krist Novoselic were regular attendees at the band's rehearsals. Music offered the one bright spot in Kurt's life. Beyond that, his future prospects seemed increasingly dim. He dropped out of high school in the spring of 1985 and soon found himself working as a janitor at the very school he just left. Most of his janitorial jobs were short-term, as were his living arrangements. He was evicted from one apartment and asked to leave 2 other friends' homes when he overstayed his welcome. The only area in which he showed any sense of discipline was music. He jammed with the Melvins when he could, although there are conflicting stories about whether or not he was ever seriously considered a potential 4th member. But he was a regular at all their shows, sometimes helping to carry in their gear in order to get in for free, and drawing a Kiss mural on the side of the band's van. He also played with anyone who was willing, although he had so far been unable to get a band together that moved beyond the practice room. We had several joke bands, as we called them then, but our main focus was on the Melvins, who were starting to get an Olympia/Seattle-based following, says Greg Hokinson, another friend who hung out at Melvins practices. The short-lived band that Kurt put together with Hokinson and Dale Crover certainly had a joke name, Fecal Matter, and only managed to play one show. The group made a few primitive recordings on a boombox, with some simple overdubbing, recording a backing track, and then playing it on a stereo while Kurt sang into the boombox. Although Kurt didn't make the cut as a Melvin, Buzz was nonetheless impressed with his efforts to do something different. I remember him showing me things and I thought, wow, Buzz said. There's a certain magic to putting 2 simple chords together in a way that sounds nice to someone. He had the ability to do that. Now, was he the greatest singer? No. Was he the greatest guitar player? No. But he has something that people who are better singers and better guitar players don't have. The ability to put something together in an interesting way. That kind of technical ability of being able to master full guitar playing and be an amazing singer has nothing to do with writing music. Nothing. In the spring of 1986, Kurt decided to more formally document Fecal Matter's work, and Matt drove him and Dale to Aunt Mary's house to record another demo. This session was previously thought to have happened in December of '85, but Mary remembers it taking place around Easter. They set up in my music room and they just crank it up, she recalls. It was loud. They would put down the music tracks first, then he'd put the headphones on and all you could hear was Kurt Cobain's voice screaming through the house. It was pretty wild. My husband and I, we just look at each other and smile and go, you think we should close the window so the neighbors don't hear? So they don't think we're beating him up or something? Mary also noted how Kurt had improved as a musician since his earlier visit. Kurt and Dale recorded a total of 13 of Kurt's songs, with Kurt on guitar and vocals, Dale on bass and drums. They survive as the earliest known examples of Kurt's songwriting. The music clearly reveals his influences: fast, thrashing punk, and the slower chug of hard rock. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like what you see, make sure to subscribe for more. All the videos on this channel are original. I'm the one conducting all the interviews and editing all the videos together, so if you guys like what you see and you want to support, the best way to do so is honestly just to subscribe. Lots more to come.